So this is limit state design of retaining wall. As this the figure shows the different varieties of retaining wall. The very first is the gravity wall, which made up with the concrete, plain concrete or stone masonry. Gravity wall because it will sustain its the external load with its own weight. That's why it is known as gravity wall. And that may be made up by concrete, simple concrete or stone masonry. That's why it is known as gravity wall. Second one is semi-gravity wall, where the half of the, or you can say the majority part of the load is governed by the self weight of the wall itself, and some of the part can be resisted by the reinforcement provided into the wall. So that is the semi-gravity wall. Then third one is the cantilever retaining wall. Cantilever retaining wall where the wall is provided with the reinforcement where it is required in the tension zone. So that is the cantilever retaining wall. And fourth one is the counterfort retaining wall, which is also having the reinforcement, but in compared with the cantilever retaining wall, this counterfort retaining wall is having counterfort member at the heel side, which is connected with the stem and the heel portion. So that is the counterfort retaining wall. Basically, the retaining wall are usually built to hold the back soil mass. However, the retaining walls can also be constructed for aesthetic landscaping purposes. The retaining walls provide lateral support to vertical slope of soil, and they retain soil otherwise collapse into a more natural slope. The retained soil is referred to as a backfill. Means the soil mass which is resisted by the wall, retaining wall, that mass is known as backfill mass. This backfill mass may have its top surface horizontal or inclined. In terms of if this is one of the retaining wall where it required to retain the soil mass. So in length view, this is the length view of that retaining wall. In this way, the wall is constructed depend on the length required to retain the soil. So this one is the length view of retaining wall, and here there will be the soil mass. At this whole section there will be the soil mass. Throughout the length the soil mass will be there. Now in this case this is known as backfill or soil mass. Backfill or soil mass. So this backfill may be the horizontal one, or that may be of incline. Means the soil mass which is retained by the retaining wall, that may be of horizontal in plane, means this kind of, this is the horizontal one, right? Up to this height of the retaining wall the backfill is horizontal, and sometimes it may have the inclination or inclined portion, backfill having the inclined portion. The position of the backfill laying above the horizontal plane at the elevation of top of the wall is called the surcharge. Now this is the surcharge, the additional load which is acting on top of the backfill. So if this is the backfill, red color is the backfill, then above that if any other load is acting, then that other load is known as the surcharge load, right? So that other load may be of some construction, that may be of some walking path, that may be of some plants, that may be of other amenities which is provided. So that will give the additional load except the backfill. So that load is known as the surcharge load. That load is known as the surcharge load. And its inclination to the horizontal is called the surcharge angle. That is called the surcharge angle. Now this classification of retaining wall is gravity wall, masonry or plain concrete as explained. Then second is cantilever retaining wall, inverted T and L, inverted T and L. This is the inverted T shape. This is the inverted T shape. And this retaining wall may be of L shape also. So this is called the L shape retaining wall. Depend on the designer requirement, one can provide or one can design the L shape and L shape, T shape and L shape. Then counterfort retaining wall, and fourth one is the buttress retaining wall. Now this gravity wall that resists the earth pressure exerted by the backfill by its own self weight. Only the self weight is required to resist the external pressure. It is usually built in stone masonry and occasionally in plain concrete. The gravity wall provides stability by virtue of its own weight, and therefore it's rather massive in size because the weight is only the governing factor which will resist the pressure. So the size of the gravity wall is too large compared to the normal reinforced concrete gravity wall, reinforced concrete retaining wall. The plain concrete gravity walls are not used for heights exceeding about 3 meters for obvious economy reason. Stress developed is very low, and these walls are so proportionate that no tension is developed anywhere and the resultant of forces remain within the middle third of the base. Means the requirement of the tension resistance is not there in gravity wall. That's why only the plain concrete can uh, uh, required to resist the forces. So this is the gravity wall. Now this gravity wall, maybe this is the trapezoidal shape of gravity wall, that may be of rectangle shape of gravity wall. This is the length side, this is the length side. Right here is the backfill, here is the backfill, and this one is the front side. So this front side is having some footing over here. This one is the toe part, this is the heel part, and here this is the ground surface. Then cantilever retaining wall. The cantilever retaining wall is most type of retaining structure and is generally economical for height up to 8 meter. The structure consists of vertical stem and a base slab made up of two distinct regions, which is heel slab and toe slab. So this is the cantilever retaining wall, where this vertical portion is known as stem portion. This is known as stem portion. Now this stem portion is maybe of rectangle one, and that may be of trapezoidal one like this. Then this bottom portion is known as base slab, means this portion up to this total portion is known as base slab, and this base slab is again divided into two parts. This portion is known as toe slab, and from here to here this is known as heel slab, and up to this portion is known as toe slab. So this is heel slab, this one is toe slab. This one is L shape, reverse L shape cantilever retaining wall. This right side will be the backfill or the soil mass. Left side will be the ground surface. This one is the footing, and this one is the stem part, and this one is the base slab. Now counterfold wall. Stem and heel are strengthened by providing counterfold at some suitable interval. The stability of wall is maintained by the weight of the earth on the heel slab plus the self weight of the structure. The bending moment can be considerably reduced by introducing transverse support as counterfold, and this wall is economical for height of about 7 meters. So this is the counterfold member with respect to cantilever retaining wall. one member is additionally placed, which is known as counterfold member, which will connect your stem part and the heel part with the inclined member. That inclined member is known as counterfold member. With the view of lengthwise, this counterfold member are placed at the equal interval throughout the length of the wall. This vertical portion is known as stem portion and the bottom is known as base slab. This side where the backfill is provided, that side is known as heel side, and where the open space is there, that is called as toe side. Now coming to buttress wall, it is similar to the counterfold wall except that the transverse stem supports called buttress are located in front side, interconnecting the stem with the toe slab. Although buttress walls are structurally not efficient and more economical than counterfold, counterfold wall is generally preferred as it is provide free usable space and better aesthetics in front of the wall. So this is the buttress retaining wall. This part is the buttress retaining wall. As you can see over here, the counterfold member is provided at the toe side, which is connected stem with the toe. So here the accessible part, or you can usable space is not provided in buttress retaining wall, whereas in counterfold wall that part is provided. So this buttress retaining wall, though it is economical, it is not usually provided except in some unusual or in unacceptable condition where counterfold is not preferable to provide. Now this wall is provided to resist the soil mass or to resist the backfill. Now this backfill or soil mass will give the pressure on the wall itself, and that pressure is known as lateral pressure or lateral earth pressure. So if this is the wall, if this is the wall, if this is the cantilever retaining wall, where this is called the stem part, this is called the toe part, and this right side is the heel part, and backfill is provided. If this is the length view, so this way the length side wall will be there. So this is my cut-off portion, and soil mass is over here, from here to here. This all are the soil masses which is rested on the heel portion, and this wall is restrained the soil mass or retain the soil mass. So these all are the soil masses on the hillside. Now this soil mass, this is nothing but the soil mass or the earth mass or the backfill. Now due to this weight of this backfill, because this retaining wall is made to retain this soil mass, so once you are obstructing something, that obstruction portion will give back as a pressure value or as a force value. So this backfill value, backfill mass will give the pressure on the retaining wall, and that pressure is nothing but the weight which is applying to the retaining wall itself. So this backfill or soil mass will give the pressure to this retaining wall, and that pressure will be given as lateral pressure, lateral earth pressure. So that pressure which is provided from the soil mass or earth or backfill is known as lateral earth pressure. And as this lateral earth pressure is a linear diagram, and this linear diagram is maximum at the bottom and minimum at the, or minimum or the zero at the top. So if I want to draw The pressure diagram, this is the simple line diagram of cantilever retaining wall, where this is the soil mass over here on the hill portion. I am considering that my soil mass is horizontal on the top side, horizontal in plane at the top side, like this. So the pressure, if I want to draw, then the pressure value which is acting on the stem part, at this stem part, this soil mass will give the pressure, and that pressure is linear one. That pressure is linear one, which is maximum at bottom and minimum at the, or zero at the top. So this is my pressure diagram, lateral pressure diagram, where I am having the maximum pressure at this point and zero at this point. So this pressure is nothing but my soil pressure or lateral earth pressure, and that lateral earth pressure I am denoting as the, from the soil side, if it is acting, that's why it is known as PA. PA is nothing but the active earth pressure, active earth pressure, and this active earth pressure is given by the soil mass, and this pressure, as it is triangle, that is concentrated at the CG point of the triangle. CG point of the triangle is h by 3, where h is the height of the stem, here height of the stem. So this pressure is acting at h by 3 distance, and this pressure value, is nothing but the active coefficient Ka into density of, or unit weight of soil, into H. So this is my maximum pressure value Ka, that is the active coefficient, then gamma is my unit weight of soil, and H is the height of the stem. So this will give the active earth pressure value Pa. So now if I want to find this Pa value, that is the pressure value, so this Pa value will be the area of this triangle. This area of triangle is 1/2 into Ka into gamma into H. So this is my 1/2 into the triangle area is 1/2 into B into H. So B is nothing but K into gamma H, and H is this height of the triangle. So this height of the triangle is nothing but the H value. Height of the triangle is nothing but the H value. So my active pressure of the soil is 1/2 Ka into gamma into H square, and this pressure is acting at a distance of h by 3 from base of stem. At base of the stem, here is the base of the stem where the pressure is acting, because soil mass is above this base slab. Right, for this stem part, I'm considering for the stem behavior only. So for this stem part, this is the behavior. Now what will happen? This is the active pressure, but in the lateral direction. So if any force is acting in lateral direction, in this direction, if any force is acting, so the vertical portion may get deflected, and the deflection of this vertical portion will be like this. So this will be the deflection of the stem part. So your stem part is deflect like this because of the pressure of the soil mass on the vertical portion. This is same like a cantilever beam, but that cantilever beam, instead of like this, if this is the cantilever beam and the load is acting over here, instead of that my cantilever beam is like this. Here is my stem part, and now the load is acting from this direction. So the behavior of cantilever will be like this. Due to this cantilever, load, due to this load, this is the behavior of my cantilever beam. So same behavior you can see over here is the behavior of stem part due to the lateral earth pressure from the active side, because the soil is rested on the right side or at the backfill side or the hill side. So this is the deflection of the retaining wall of the stem part, stem retaining wall deflection. So same is over here also. This red color triangle is my active earth pressure diagram for stem height, and this part, is the deflection of the stem portion, and this PA is nothing but the active pressure which is acting at a h/3 distance from the base of the stem. So this is called the lateral earth pressure for the stem itself. This is not the lateral earth pressure for the whole retaining wall, but this is the lateral earth pressure for the stem part only. Now there are two type of earth pressure. One is the active earth pressure and second one is the passive earth pressure. Now where the soil mass is provided, that will give the active earth pressure, and opposite side to it, from this side whatever pressure the wall will face, that pressure is known as passive pressure. That pressure is passive pressure. And what active earth pressure will do? Active earth pressure tends to deflect the wall away from the backfill. So this active pressure, again Ka gamma into H, active earth pressure. What is Ka? Ka is coefficient of active earth pressure. This you can find from this equation, 1 minus sine phi upon 1 plus sine phi, and which is inversely proportional to the Kp. So K is equal to 1/2 of Kp, where Kp is coefficient of passive earth pressure. This phi is angle of internal friction or angle of repose. So this Ka you can find, Ka is equal to 1 minus sine phi upon 1 plus sine phi. So from this the coefficient of friction you can get, and you can find the active pressure Pa value. And gamma is the unit weight or density of backfill. So total earth pressure Pa, that is area of triangle. Area of triangle is 1/2 Ka gamma into H into height H. So Ka gamma into H square divided by 2, and acting at a h/3 distance above the base of the retaining wall. So same is applicable over here also. This is the same figure, Ka gamma H Pa. So Ka gamma H, Pa is the active pressure, H is the height of the stem, and Pa is 1/2 Ka gamma into H square. Now effect of surcharge on a level of backfill. Now not only the backfill is provided, backfill means the soil mass or earth filling is provided, but on the backfill additional load is also provided, and that additional load is known as the surcharge load. Additional load or surcharge load is also provided. If the additional or surcharge load is provided, then the behavior or the active pressure diagram again will change. So suppose this is my cantilever retaining wall, and this cantilever retaining wall is having the, this is only the line diagram I am showing you. So this is the cantilever retaining wall, and here will be the soil mass, here will be the soil mass, and above that this is all the soil mass. About that, additional load is also acting throughout the length. Additional loading is also acting. and that additional loading is known as the surcharge. So what will be the change in the diagram of active pressure due to this backfill? Due to this backfill, this is the active pressure diagram for the backfill, same as the earlier one. So this is the K gamma into H for the stem part. I'm just talking about only the stem part. K into gamma into H, and due to the additional load or the surcharge load, as this surcharge is on the backfill side and which is again throughout the length, so the pressure due to surcharge will be the rectangle, or you can say the same throughout the height of the stem. So this diagram shows, this green color diagram shows the pressure diagram for the surcharge, pressure diagram for the surcharge. And this red color is showing the pressure diagram due to active pressure. So this is for the soil mass and the green color is for surcharge. So soil mass is linearly varying, but surcharge, because that is provided above the soil mass throughout the length, so that will give the equal pressure on the wall, which is the equal one. So throughout the height that will be same. So this value, this part is the surcharge pressure, and this surcharge pressure is nothing but this pressure, this portion is nothing but active earth pressure coefficient, active earth pressure coefficient into Ws. This Ws here, this Ws is nothing but the weight of the surcharge in kilonewton per meter. So this Ws is nothing but the weight of the surcharge in kilonewton per meter. So this pressure KAWS is same throughout the height, and here this is K into gamma H. Due to this soil mass, the pressure is acting, so that pressure is known as active pressure. So this active pressure is acting at a distance of h by 3 from the base of the stem, and this surcharge pressure will act at center because this diagram is rectangle. So rectangle pressure is rectangle CG is at the center. So this pressure is PS. PS means surcharge pressure, and this surcharge pressure is acting at a distance of h by 2. At a distance of h by 2. So if the surcharge load is there, then your total pressure acting on the stem part will be PA plus PS. Total pressure will be PA plus PS, where PA is 1/2 K gamma into H square plus PS will be K into surcharge load. So this will give the total pressure value, and due to this total pressure value, the stem will deflect like this. The stem will deflect like this. Due to this pressure, the stem will deflect like the cantilever portion. Right, so this is the deflection shape of cantilever stem part. This is same like a cantilever, because if you see, this is the vertical portion of stem, this is called the stem, and this stem is free at the top side and fixed at this base point. So this is considered to be the base one, and if the load is applied from this side, this base is deflect like this. So this is called the deflection. This is called the deflection. And total deflection, total pressure is this PA plus PS. So PA plus PS, and this is the diagram. And this is the additional force above the soil mass. Then maybe your soil is not dry one, but having some submerged in the water. maybe your soil is saturated soil. So the saturated soil weight and dry soil weight is different and the pressure also different. So if the submerged backfill is there, means the backfill or the soil mass is saturated with the water, then the pressure value will change, and that pressure value is, suppose this is again your retaining wall, stem part, this is toe part, and this one is the heel part. Now this is the soil mass, but this soil mass is saturated soil mass. So in addition to only dry soil, some wet soil or water portion will be also there in your retaining wall, which will give the lateral pressure to the stem part. Then the diagram for the pressure will change. The very first dry soil pressure diagram is same like a triangle. So this is the diagram for the backfill, K gamma into H, and the water pressure diagram is also the same as the triangle. Water pressure diagram is also the triangle one. So this additional diagram is the diagram for the saturated soil, and that value or pressure value is weight of the water, weight of the unit weight of water into height. Unit weight of water into height, where h is height of the stem. Here we are talking about only the stem part uh, pressure diagram. So Ka gamma H is due to this backfill, dry backfill, and gamma H is due to the water. So both if you add, so the total pressure will be 1/2 K gamma into H plus, this is again 1/2. So the total pressure due to saturated soil is equal to 1/2 K gamma into H square, same as the earlier one, and due to the saturated part, due to the water influence, again the diagram is triangle. So 1/2 into gamma W into H into height H, so H square. So this will be the total pressure which is acting. This is the total pressure, that both the pressure will act at the same point at a distance of h by 3, and the pressure value will like this, and due to this pressure the cantilever part of stem is deflect like this. So this is the active pressure, total active pressure for the submerged soil. Same is like this. Now next is backfill with sloping surface. Now backfill with the sloping surface. So in that case where the backfill is not horizontal, if this is my length view of retaining wall, generally the backfill is parallel to the length of the wall and the height is below the height of the retaining wall. Backfill height is below the height of the retaining wall. But sometimes the soil mass is the inclination one. So once you have inclined portion of your soil mass, the pressure value will change in terms of your coefficient value is getting changed. So in that case, the coefficient equation will change if your pressure, if your soil mass is horizontal, then Ka equation is 1 minus cos phi upon 1 plus cos phi. Like this. Sorry, 1 minus sin phi upon 1 plus sin phi. 1 minus sin phi upon 1 plus sin phi. This is for the horizontal backfill. But if your backfill is inclined, then the K equation is somewhat like this that you have done in your geotechnical subject, where K equation is cos theta minus under root of cos square theta minus cos square phi. Now this phi is angle of surcharge. Phi is angle of surcharge, and this theta angle is nothing but the angle of inclination or the inclined slope of surface. So this way the only the K equation will change in the inclined portion. Rest of the things will remain same for the backfill with sloping surface. Here this diagram is showing with the surcharge value, inclined surcharge value. Then this is the passive earth pressure, opposite to the active earth pressure or inversely proportional to the active earth pressure. So if PA is Ka gamma into H, then passive pressure will be Kp into gamma H, where Ka is inversely proportional to the Kp. So once you have Ka, you can get the value of Kp. And this cape, when due to active pressure from the right hand side, the walls moves left, the soil to the left is thus compressed and in turn exert passive earth pressure resisting such movement. So once your left side, this passive pressure, active pressure will lead the deflection of the stem part, the soil which is at the toe side, that will compress, and due to that compression that will resist the deflection of the stem part from the active side, and that pressure is known as passive pressure. So this is the diagram for the passive pressure. This is the stem. The right side is the active pressure at a distance of h by 3, but below the ground surface the soil will be there, and that soil will resist the deflection of stem due to the active soil mass. And this is the same diagram, triangle diagram. Passive pressure is Kp into gamma into H, and which is acting at a distance of h by 3. So this is my P passive pressure, and this passive pressure is triangle. So equation will be Kp 1 half Kp gamma into H. So 1 half Kp gamma into H square at a distance of again h by 3. At a distance of h by 3 from the base of the stem part. So this is all about the different behavior of the retaining wall for the different condition. The first condition is due to simple active earth pressure. This is the deflection, this is the active pressure diagram, and this one is the deflection. Deflection will remain same for all the condition, but the active pressure diagram will change. The first one is the this active pressure diagram due to only the soil mass at the hillside. Then due to surcharge, this will be the active pressure diagram, and this is the total pressure, active pressure acting. If the submerged is there, then this is the active pressure diagram for the submerged soil, and this one is the total active pressure due to submerged. And if the backfill with sloping surface is there, then this one is the active pressure diagram, and this is the total active pressure acting on the stem part. This one is the passive pressure. Now coming to the stability requirement of retaining wall. The stability requirement, who will give the stability of retaining wall? So the stability of retaining wall does given by the weight of the retaining wall itself. Weight of the retaining wall itself will give the stability to the retaining wall. So if this one is the retaining wall, now if I am considering the total stability of the retaining wall, not only the stem part but the full retaining wall, then the diagram of active pressure will be like this throughout the height. So this is the throughout the height. This one is the diagram of active pressure. And this will lead to the instability. This active pressure will lead the instability of the retaining wall. Total instability of the retaining wall. And who will resist? The resistant portion are the reinforced concrete element of the stem. The very first reinforced element of the retaining wall is stem part. So this stem part will resist this active pressure. Then this base slab will resist the active pressure. So means the weight of the retaining wall itself will give the resistance to the instability due to active pressure. So retaining wall subject to following forces. Following forces in terms of, this is the weight of stem. This portion is weight of stem. Then W2 base slab. So if I am noting over here, so this is weight 1, this one is weight 2, and weight 3 column of soil supported on hill slab. Means if this is the soil mass over here, then this soil mass also is acting at the downward direction. So this soil mass also will give the weight to the structure. So this is my W3 force. So this W1 is also acting downward direction. Weight is acting downward direction. This weight is also acting in downward direction. This soil mass over here is also acting in downward direction. So there are three forces which is acting in downward direction: W1, W2 and W3. So these three forces are acting in downward direction. Then this PA force is acting in lateral direction. This is the lateral direction. PP, passive pressure, is again lateral direction but in opposite to it. So if I draw, if this is my footing, then this is my passive pressure diagram. So this is my passive pressure. So passive pressure is also acting in this direction. So there are two lateral force over here, and below this retaining wall also there are soil mass, or the soil with the wall is also resting on the soil surface. So due to that soil, this soil below the retaining wall will also give the pressure to the soil, and that pressure is known as uplift pressure. So if this is the diagram of uplift pressure, this one is the diagram of uplift pressure. You must have studied in GT part. So this is the diagram of uplift pressure. This is the pressure in minimum, and here this pressure is maximum, and this pressure is acting in the upward direction. Pressure is acting in the upward direction. So the next pressure value is P maximum and P minimum, which is acting in upward direction. So there are three type of forces which are acting. One is the downward forces. So W1 is the downward force, W2 is the downward force, because these two are the weight, and the weight is acting at downward side, and W3 again the soil mass, which is also acting in downward side. PA and PP, active pressure and passive pressure, both are lateral direction force. One is in the direction of stem and other is from the opposite side. And this P maximum and P minimum is the upward direction force. So this upward direction force also will lead to failure of the retaining wall, and this active pressure also will lead to the failure of retaining wall. So the forces which lead the failure of retaining wall, RW, small term, retaining wall. The forces will lead to the failure of retaining wall, and that forces are PA force, active force, the P maximum, and P minimum. And forces which resist, forces which resist the retaining wall about failure. फेलियर से बचने के लिए जो फोर्स यूज होता है वो है W1, W2, W3 and passive pressure. So this four is the resisting force and these are the failure force, failing force. So for the stability of retaining wall, you need to understand, you need to take care about this active pressure, and due to this active pressure the failure type is known as overturning and sliding. These are the two type of failure in retaining wall. One is the overturning failure and second one is the sliding. And due to this P maximum and P minimum, this will give the failure due to upliftment. Failure due to upliftment means due to this pressure value, your soil mass will give the pressure to the base of the soil and that will lead to the failure of the retaining wall. So there are three type of failures which are acting that you need to take care is overturning failure means your wall, if this is your wall, this wall, full height of wall can easily overturn. So that is overturning failure. Sliding because this is the horizontal force. So your wall may slide over here. ऐसा यहाँ से ऐसे slide हो जाएगी, यहाँ से यहाँ चली जाएगी wall like this. Right, overturn मतलब ये पूरा जो भी suppose ये है मेरा if suppose this is the retaining wall तो ये यहाँ से ही ऊपर हो जाएगा, मतलब ऐसा कुछ ओवरटर्न हो जाएगा आपकी वो. ऐसे ओवरटर्न हो जाएगी ये पॉइंट से, ठीक है. So that is called the overturning failure. If this is called this red color line is the sliding. Slide हो जाएगी. If the proper friction between the base slab and soil mass below the base slab is not there, then that will slide. This will overturn due to active pressure. And uplift pressure, upliftment, तो यहाँ पे क्या होगा, maybe this pressure may get negative, then the stresses will generate a tension stress generate, and due to the tension stress this portion of your base slab may fail. So that is the upliftment failure. So for the stability analysis you need to check the wall for overturning condition, wall for sliding condition and wall for upliftment. So this is the diagram. This one is the W1, that is weight of stem part, W2 weight of the base slab, W3 weight of the earth pressure, earth or the weight of the soil mass. And then this is the active pressure PA at a distance of h/3, full height of retaining wall, that's why capital H. capital H by 3 PA. Then this bottom term will be Ka into gamma into capital H. So total pressure will be 1/2 Ka gamma into capital H square. And this R is nothing but the resultant weight. So this resultant weight is nothing but, this is W1, W2, W3. So the resultant weight will be W1 plus W2 plus W3. So that resultant is summation of W, and that will pass through the CG of the base slab. CG of the base slab actually होना चाहिए B by 2 पे, B by 2, but as due to unsymmetry, that resultant is not passing through the B by 2 but away from the B by 2 with a distance of eccentricity E. So at this E point, the resultant force is passing, and this resultant force is passing at this point. The remaining distance is x distance, and due to this phenomena you can get the P maximum and P minimum value, which will give the uplift pressure diagram that you have studied in your GT part. So mode of the failure of retaining wall: overturning about the toe, sliding, and failure due to excessive pressure at toe or tension at the heel should not exceed the safe bearing capacity, and bending failure of stem or base slab or heel slab. So these are the different mode of retaining wall. First is overturning, as I explained, sliding. Third is failure of soil, that is the uplift pressure. Whatever uplift pressure is there, the pressure should not exceed the safe bearing capacity of soil. That is the obvious reason, that uplift pressure should always less than safe bearing capacity of soil. And fourth one, bending failure of stem, base slab and heel slab. That is, the slab, base slab, heel, toe or stem should not fail. So this is the overturning about the toe. Clause 20.1 is given. This is the overturning of the retaining wall due to active pressure PA, due to active pressure PA. Overturning moment is M0. We'll see what is M0. Then this is the sliding. This is called the sliding of slab. And this is called the overturning.